The Toa Inika have fallen, locked away by the Titan Brutaka, their goal of attaining the Mask of Life and saving Mata Nui in tatters. Elsewhere, the Matoran of Makuta Nui, on a quest to save the Toa Inika, have been captured by Karzhani, a demigod of nightmares who twists and reshapes them to suit his whims. Hope is fading, Mata Nui is dying, and the heroes destined to save him are all captured. Meanwhile, the powerful Piraka come ever closer to seizing the Mask of Life and becoming figures of untold power. But how did we get to this point of utter desperation? For those of you who haven't watched the last video, let us quickly recap the events of the last chronicle, a story of rising darkness. The Toa Inika, the legendary heroes who awoke Mata Nui, embarked on a perilous mission to recover the Ignika, the Mask of Life, hidden on the treacherous island of Voya Nui. Their goal was to use this powerful mask to save the Great Spirit Mata Nui from death, an event which would doom the entire universe. But the Toa were not the only ones seeking the Mask of Life. The Piraka, a treacherous band of former Dark Hunters, had their sights set on the same prize. Their obsession with the mask was ignited by a mysterious and sinister force, a vat of glowing green liquid they had found in the vanquished Makuta's lair. The Piraka arrived on Voya Nui in Toa canisters, enslaving its Matoran inhabitants and setting their sights on finding the Mask of Life. When the Toa Inika arrived, they were confident in their mission to secure the mask and save Mata Nui. However, their confidence was short-lived. The Piraka, hardened by millennia of battles against Toa, Visarak and Rakshi, were no ordinary adversaries. The Toa Inika, with barely a year of experience in their roles, were no match for the Piraka's overwhelming might. Although they managed to escape, they were defeated yet again by the Titan Brutaka, who was now addicted to the Piraka's supply of antidermis. Stripped of their elemental powers, the Toa Inika were imprisoned, their once mighty resolve shattered. Meanwhile, on the other side of the universe, 6 Matoran of Makuta Nui and Taka Nuva sought to find the Toa Inika. They set out on a journey to Voya Nui, but fate had other plans for them. They were separated from Taka Nuva and were soon captured by Karzhani, an ancient demigod whose twisted domain was a nightmare beyond comprehension. Join us today as we uncover the fate of the Toa Inika, the courageous Matoran and the treacherous Piraka as they struggle to obtain the Mask of Life. In the grim and oppressive realm of Karzhani, the Matoran of Makuta Nui found themselves trapped in what seemed to be a hopeless existence, with no apparent means of escape from the clutches of the twisted ruler who now held them captive. Karzhani ordered the Matoran to tend the island's colossal furnaces, sparing only Harley, whom he tasked with recounting the events of the Matoran universe. Harley reluctantly told him of their quest to save Mata Nui and the dire state of the universe. Karzhani scoffed, refusing to believe that Mata Nui or any being could be greater than himself or his brother. As hours passed, Harley sat to rest on a rock. To her horror, the rock screamed in anguish, and she realized her feet were slowly turning to stone. Karzhani chuckled menacingly, explaining that the rocks were once Matoran who had dared to pause in their work. Their punishment had been eternal petrification, a fate he warned Harley could soon be hers. Meanwhile, the other 5 Matoran managed to slip away from the furnace. They discovered a stone tablet detailing Karzhani's descent into madness and his original purpose as a healer of damaged Matoran. As they searched for a way to escape, they encountered a mysterious and insane Matoran of Light, who revealed that he was once the builder of Toa canisters at the core of the universe. The builder explained that 6 experimental canisters were hidden in a vault beneath Karzhani's island. Leading the group deep into the underground chamber, he showed them the canisters. While Nuparu began deciphering their workings, Jala and the others resolved to rescue Harley before attempting an escape. Karzhani, however, was already aware of their plan. Furious at their rebellion, he dragged Harley to the vault, denouncing the Matoran as liars and preparing to destroy the canisters. Thinking quickly, Matoru goaded Karzhani into using his Olisi, showing him the worst possible future, one where Mata Nui died, plunging the universe into chaos. The vision shook the Matoran to their core, but it affected Karzhani even more profoundly. For the first time, he realized that Mata Nui was far more powerful than himself. In his stunned state, the Matoran seized their chance. They rescued Harley and entered the canisters activating them to set a course for Voya Nui. As the canisters departed, the mysterious builder chose to stay behind, heartened by the knowledge that Mata Nui still lived. Watching the Matoran escape, Karzhani realized that Harley's tales were true. Mata Nui was asleep, and the universe was vulnerable. Enraged and emboldened, Karzhani vowed to expand his empire and began his pursuit of the Matoran to Voya Nui, intent on claiming his place in the power vacuum left by Mata Nui's slumber. Back on Voya Nui, the infighting between the Piraka continued unabated. Amid the barren slopes of Mount Valmai, two of the most volatile Piraka, Thok and Redak, had strayed from their comrades. Their heated conversation about the Mask of Life devolved into a full-blown argument as their greed and distrust simmered to the surface. Thok, ever the cunning manipulator, saw an opportunity to eliminate a rival. With a sudden shove, he sent Redak plummeting down the jagged cliffside. Confident he'd rid himself of one competitor, Thok began to plot his next move. But Redak, fueled by raw determination and his nearly indestructible nature, clawed his way back up the cliff with terrifying speed. Seething with rage, Redak attacked Thok, and the two engaged in a vicious battle. Back at the Piraka stronghold, Avak proposed an alliance with Vezok. But Vezok had already brokered a secret pact with Redak, although he said he might spare Avak's life if he helped them. It was amidst this tangled web of plots that Axon, the towering protector of Voya Nui, finally revealed himself, manipulating the terrain with his formidable strength. Axon triggered a massive cave-in, momentarily trapping the two Piraka. Not long after, all six Piraka became embroiled in their escalating infighting. Their plans to secure the Mask of Life had dissolved into chaos, battling one another in a wild, feral melee. It was in this state of utter discord that Axon prepared to strike, seeing an opportunity to eliminate the Piraka threat once and for all. But just as Axon prepared to strike down the Piraka and end their quest, his plans were interrupted by the arrival of his former comrade, Brutaka. Brutaka's ambush was as devastating as it was unexpected. With a single crushing blow, he sent Axon staggering. The two titans clashed, their battle a cataclysmic collision of raw power and will. Axon, driven by his steadfast belief in his mission, fought with everything he had, but Brutaka's newfound antidermis-enhanced strength made him nearly unstoppable. As Axon and Brutaka's titanic duel raged, Hakan, the most devious among them, proposed a daring scheme to wrest control from Brutaka. He planned to create a Zamasphere capable of siphoning Brutaka's immense power, transferring it to its wielder. Reluctantly, the other Piraka, Vizok, Redak, Thok, and Avak agreed to his plan, each secretly plotting to claim the power for themselves. As Jala, Harley, Kongu, Hyuki, Nuparu, and Matoro approached Voya Nui in their Toa canisters, a violent storm raged across the seas. Lightning tore through the skies, and a bolt of energy from the Red Star struck the six canisters simultaneously. The Red Star, a mysterious object that had long hovered in the skies above Mata Nui and Voya Nui, was often regarded as a celestial enigma. Its true purpose remained unknown, though it was steeped in legend and speculation. This event altered them forever. The Matoran were no more, replaced by powerful new warriors imbued with the essence of lightning. They were now the Toa Inika, unlike any Toa the universe had ever seen. The transformation bestowed upon them remarkable and unique abilities. The energy of the Red Star coursed through their bodies, entwining their elemental powers with lightning. This electrified synergy, while making their abilities unparalleled in combat, demanded a careful mastery of their new gifts. Their transformation also granted them resistance to electricity and immunity to the enslaving effects of antidermis. Even their Konohi masks bore the mark of the Red Star's power. Transformed into organic, semi-sentient artifacts, these masks aided their wearers, sometimes activating abilities on their own. Jala now bore the Calyx, the Great Mask of Fate, allowing him to perform extraordinary physical feats. Hyuki carried the Sanok, the Great Mask of Accuracy, which granted him perfect aim with any object. Harley's Elder, the Great Mask of Detection, allowed her to locate hidden beings or objects, while Kongu wielded the Soletu, the Great Mask of Telepathy. Nuparu's Kadin, the Great Mask of Flight, let him soar freely, and Matoro's Aiden, the the Great Mask of Spirit enabled him to separate his spirit from his body. Their mission was clear: to save the Toa Nuva, retrieve the Mask of Life, and restore hope to a universe teetering on the brink. Meanwhile, in the Piraka's notorious Chamber of Truth, Balta awoke to find himself in a dire situation. With determination driving his every move, he freed his comrades from their restraints. As the freed resistance team regrouped, Velika, a mysterious and unusually perceptive member of their ranks, guided them to a revelation. He led them to a hidden pool of energized protodermis, a rare and dangerous substance of immense power. He explained that this miraculous liquid could neutralize the enslaving effects of the Piraka's antidermis, offering a chance to strike back and liberate their people. Velika's knowledge was uncanny. How he knew of the protodermis' existence and, more importantly, its effects, was a mystery that would only deepen with time. It is worth remembering Velika's name, for he was not what he seemed. His insights and actions would take on profound significance later in Bionicle's unfolding story. Elsewhere on the island, as the Toa Inika sought shelter from Voya Nui's relentless storms, they gathered in a darkened cave to experiment with their newfound powers. Each Toa marveled at the unique abilities bestowed upon them, but their transformation had also brought unpredictable challenges. Matoro, the Toa of Ice, struggled to control his mask. In one uncontrolled moment, his spirit drifted out, leaving his lifeless form behind. As his disembodied essence roamed the island, Matoro discovered the hidden hideout of the Matoran resistance. Upon meeting, both groups shared their knowledge of the Piraka's oppressive control over Voya Nui. Velika revealed the energized protodermis zamaspheres they had crafted. Together, the Resistance and the Toa began their campaign, freeing dozens of Matoran and reigniting hope across the island. During their journey, the Toa encountered Axon, the Order of Mata Nui warrior, who had been severely battered in his endless battle with Brutaka. Axon, weary yet resolute, made the Toa Inika promise that they would put an end to Brutaka's rampage. United in their purpose, the Toa and the Matoran resistance stormed the Piraka stronghold, determined to free the Toa Nuva and put an end to the chaos once and for all. The fortress, laden with automated defenses and traps, became a battleground. As the Matoran resistance broke off to locate and free the imprisoned Toa Nuva, the Toa Inika advanced into the heart of the stronghold. A climactic confrontation erupted as the Toa Inika engaged the Piraka in one-on-one duels. Just as the battle within the Piraka stronghold reached its peak, Hakan set his devious plan into motion. Using a specially modified Zama sphere, he fired at Brutaka, siphoning the Titan's immense power. Thok, ever cunning, realized Hakan's scheme and positioned himself to also absorb Brutaka's strength. In a blinding surge of energy, Brutaka's raw power was drained from his body and transferred to the two Piraka. Now overloaded with Brutaka's might, Hakan and Thok forced the weakened warrior to reveal the secret location of the Mask of Life, hidden beneath the lush green belt of Voya Nui. With their newfound strength, the two renegade Piraka turned on their allies, defeating the remaining Toa Inika and the rest of the Piraka. One by one, all the combatants fell, left bruised and imprisoned within the stronghold. As chaos subsided, Axon arrived on the scene, still battered and weary from his previous battles. The Toa Fire argued that unity was their best chance against the empowered duo. The Toa Inika, the remaining Piraka, Axon, and even the defeated Brutaka recognized that their only hope lay in undoing the power transfer. But there was only one being who knew how to reverse the siphoning effect: Avak, the Piraka's sadistic inventor. As the alliance of Toa Inika, Axon, Brutaka, and the remaining Piraka prepared for their next move, Axon issued a solemn warning to Jala. The Mask of Life was fiercely protected by many deadly guardians, each more formidable than the last. Axon discreetly handed Jala a glowing Zama sphere. "Use this only in the direst of circumstances," Axon urged, his tone heavy with caution. With their plan in motion, the uneasy alliance left for the Greenbelt. Axon chose to stay behind, tending to his fallen friend Brutaka in the hopes that some semblance of their old bond might still be salvaged. Meanwhile, Hakan and Thok had reached the Green Belt, their shared hunger for power already beginning to unravel their partnership. Following the trail of devastation left behind, the Toa Inika and the remaining Piraka closed in. In a synchronized attack, the Alliance launched the specialized Zama sphere Avak had crafted. It struck true, unleashing a surge of energy that restored Brutaka's powers and left all combatants unconscious. Back at the stronghold, Brutaka's strength and vitality returned in a cataclysmic explosion of energy. Axon, who had remained by his side, offered words of forgiveness, pleading with his old friend to set aside his darkness. But Brutaka, now fully empowered and unyielding, refused. His eyes burned with defiance as he squared off against Axon. The stage was set for another clash, even as the Mask of Life drew ever closer to those who sought it. Reawakening, the Piraka stirred from unconsciousness. The destructive battle with Thok and Hakan had inadvertently uncovered the entrance to the 777 stairs, the treacherous path leading to the hidden Mask of Life. Reunited once more, the Piraka started their descent. Behind them, the Toa Inika regained their strength and quickly followed, their renewed determination driving them forward. Each group pressed onward in a frenzied race for the Mask of Life, unaware of the grueling trials that awaited them. It is at this point in the Bionicle story that the origin of the Mask of Life is revealed. These revelations hold profound significance as they begin to unravel the true nature of the Matoran universe, a mystery that will take on far greater importance as the Bionicle story continues to unfold. We are taken back 100,000 years to the time before time, even before the birth of the Great Spirit Mata Nui himself. Deep beneath the surface of an ancient continent, two cloaked figures move through the darkness, their every step purposeful. They had traversed untold distances, crossing lands scorched by searing heat, desolate plains of silence, and regions teeming with unseen dangers. Their destination was a place of their choosing, a site untouched by time or the hands of others, a place where their work could remain hidden and safe. Above them, the Matoran labored ceaselessly, constructing and creating, oblivious to the silent figures moving below. They reached the heart of the chamber, where molten lava flowed in glowing rivers, casting flickering light against the walls. Here, they set to work. With precision, one of the figures unleashed a tool that split the rock with bursts of energy, carving deep into the earth. Hours passed as they hollowed out the chamber and constructed a descending staircase that wound like a spiral into the depths. At the chamber's center, they shaped a pedestal from the bedrock, a solitary altar destined to hold their most sacred creation. When their work was complete, they revealed their cargo, a golden shell that radiated an unearthly presence. They opened it with deliberate care, exposing its contents. The Mask of Life lay within, its surface gleaming with an almost unnoticeable energy, yet heavy with purpose. It was a mask unlike any other, capable of extraordinary acts of creation or destruction. The mask was set upon the pedestal, its presence seeming to awaken the chamber itself. The molten rivers glowed brighter, and a faint hum filled the air, as if the mask acknowledged its place. Their work done, the figures departed, ascending the staircase in silence. They left no trace of their presence, no sign of their passage, save for the mask now resting in its appointed place. Only as they vanished into the horizon did the truth of their nature become clear. These were no ordinary beings. They were the great beings, the architects of the universe itself. The Mask of Life rested undisturbed for 30,000 years after its placement, guarded by molten fire, stone, and umbra. But the peace of the universe was broken by the Matoran civil war. The Great Spirit Mata Nui, whose essence gave life to the universe, was gravely weakened by the chaos. As the war raged, it was Makuta Teridax, still Mata Nui's loyal ally, who ended the conflict, bringing peace to the divided Matoran. Despite this, Mata Nui's strength continued to wane. The Turaga foresaw only one hope, the Mask of Life. A team of Toa, led by Jovan, a Toa of magnetism, was chosen to retrieve it. At last, Jovan's team retrieved the mask and used its immense power to restore Mata Nui. Yet, the experience left them awed and fearful of its overwhelming energy, and in mourning of the profound sacrifices the mask had extracted from them. Once their mission was complete, the Toa hastily returned the mask to its resting place, ensuring it remained hidden and protected until the destined time. But now, after 70,000 years of dormancy, the Mask of Life's trials and sacrifices would be tested once more, its power calling forth those who sought it, unaware of the cost it would demand. Back in the present time, deep beneath the island, the Piraka encountered a fork in the passageway. The left path was impassable, sealed by ancient rubble, forcing them down the right, a path whispered of in legend as the Zone of Nightmares. The very air seemed alive with menace, sapping their bravado as shadows danced unnaturally along the walls. It was here that the nightmare manifested. A grotesque figure emerged from the darkness, its golden skin glowing eerily in the faint light. Ignika, the ancient terror of Skakdi myth, loomed before them, his twisted form a reflection of their deepest fears. The creature, a legend forged to strike fear into the hearts of the Skakdi by their own elders, now stood in horrifying reality. One by one, the Piraka fell to their knees, consumed by terror. Ignik's mere presence seemed to unravel their minds, each of them overcome by visions of their worst fears. But one among them did not yield. Zaktan stood unmoved, his fragmented nature and dark past shielding him from the fear that paralyzed his comrades. Where others faltered, he pressed forward, his resolve cutting through the illusion. As Zaktan's unrelenting will dominated, the manifestation began to dissolve. The nightmare faded, leaving behind only silence and the faint echo of their own breaths. They had passed the first trial, but the challenges of the Mask of Life were far from over. The Piraka's relentless pursuit of the Mask of Life brought them to a dimly lit chamber where 6 cylindrical cells awaited them, one for each of the scheming Skakdi. As they stepped inside, the walls sealed shut and an unnatural black liquid began to seep upward from the floor, rising steadily. Suddenly, a voice rang out, ancient and commanding. It was a recording spoken by what seemed to be one of the elusive great beings. The voice delivered an ultimatum. The Piraka would only be freed if all 6 of them pulled their levers at the exact same moment. However, the voice added a cruel twist. If one pulled his lever early, only he would be released, and he alone could claim the Mask of Life. Redak, ever impulsive and cunning, acted first. He yanked his lever, greed driving his every move. To his surprise, pulling the lever did not grant him exclusive freedom. Instead, it triggered the release of all 6 chambers at once. The black liquid, no longer restrained, engulfed them as they were flushed into the passage beyond. The mutagenic properties of the liquid seeped into their skin, an unseen transformation beginning to work its way into their very essence. Ignorant of the changes taking place, the Piraka pressed onward. The tunnel spat them out into a vast, oppressive cavern dominated by the lava chamber gate. Yet their journey was far from over. Unbeknownst to them, the Toa Inika were nearby, battling their own trials within the perilous chamber of death. The 2 groups, each driven by conflicting desires, were now on a collision course that would determine the fate of the Mask of Life, and perhaps the entire universe. As the Piraka reached the gate, the Toa Inika reached their first test. Their path diverged at a fork, with the right tunnel where the Piraka had ventured, sealed off, forcing them to take the left. But Toa Inika, the fabled hero of Mata Nui, appeared before them, blocking their path. His voice was heavy with warning, imploring them to turn back and abandon their pursuit of the Mask of Life, lest they meet the same fate he had. But Jala, steadfast in his resolve, urged the team forward. As they ignored the warning and pressed deeper into the tunnels, the air around them shifted. Darkness gave way to nightmarish memories made real. The Toa Inika found themselves face to face with the horrors of their past. Towering before them were the Nui Rama, insectoid Rahi that once plagued their island, the fearsome Tarakava with its crushing strength, and the dreaded Borok and Borok Kau, whose swarms nearly consumed their home. Looming amidst them were even deadlier foes, a Rakshi, its crimson staff raised menacingly, and the visage of Makuta Teridax himself, the embodiment of their darkest fears. The Toa Inika instinctively leapt into battle, their newfound powers coursing through them like a storm. As the smoke cleared and the silence returned, the Toa froze in horror. Before them, the shattered forms of their enemies began to shift and transform. The lifeless bodies reassembled, revealing the familiar shapes of the Toa Nuva. Recoiling in shock and disbelief, the Ignika were overcome with guilt, convinced that their powers had spiraled out of control and led them to commit an unthinkable act. But Jala, ever the leader, stepped forward. His voice was steady as he reminded his team of the Mask of Life's ability to deceive. Summoning their courage, the Toa pressed on, leaving the unsettling scene behind them. A booming voice echoed through the chamber they entered, commanding that in order to proceed, one of them must sacrifice their life. Jala stepped forward, wrestling with his own guilt and fears. He had been killed once before by a Rakshi and still bore the emotional scars of that experience. His hesitation left him paralyzed, unable to make the ultimate sacrifice. In his place, Matoran volunteered. As the team's interpreter, he considered himself the least valuable member in combat. A beam of energy erupted from the ceiling, engulfing Matoran in its brilliance. The remaining Toa watched in horror as he was seemingly destroyed. But just as despair began to take hold, Matoran's body reformed, reconstituted in the energy's light. The voice declared that the trial had been passed, their courage and unity proven once more. The Toa pressed onward, their journey leading them into a cavern infested with monstrous Protodax. These oversized insectoid creatures attacked with savage ferocity, quickly overcoming the Toa. Suddenly, the being known as Umbra, a sworn guardian of the Mask of Life and loyal servant of the Order of Mata Nui, descended upon the battlefield. With a commanding presence, he scattered the Protodax with ease, stating that the Toa deserved a more honorable death at his hands. Umbra's incredible speed rendered the Toa's initial attacks futile, as he disarmed them with lightning-fast strikes and superior agility. His movements were a blur, and his mastery of light seemed insurmountable. But Matoran, quick-thinking as ever, used his elemental power to create a slick surface of ice beneath Umbra's feet. The Guardian slipped, crashing to the ground in a moment of rare vulnerability. Nuperu, ever the strategist, seized the opportunity and lured Umbra into firing at the walls. The beams of light reflected wildly, disorienting Umbra until the ricocheting energy struck him down, rendering him unconscious. Before them loomed the Great Lava Chamber Gate, a towering barrier of molten fire. But even as they readied themselves to breach it, they were acutely aware that the Piraka awaited them on the other side, lying in ambush. The final confrontation for the Mask of Life was fast approaching, and the stakes had never been higher. Back in the Piraka stronghold, the Matoran resistance stumbled upon a chilling sight: the Toa Nuva. The Matoran, resourceful and determined, acted quickly. Using the stolen Zama launchers, they carefully fired anti-dermis cleansing spheres to free the Toa Nuva. The dark influence was purged from their minds, and the device restraining their elemental abilities was destroyed. Though the Toa Nuva were free, their ordeal had left them physically and mentally drained, their strength too diminished to continue the fight. Meanwhile, Axon and Brutaka clashed in a ferocious battle. Brutaka, wielding his immense strength and the power of his Kanohi Olmec, opened a dimensional portal to the Field of Shadows. His intent was clear: to banish Axon into the void and rid himself of his former ally, once and for all. Axon, unwavering in his loyalty to the Order of Mata Nui, warned Brutaka that his treachery would not go unpunished. He reminded his former ally that Botar, the Order's relentless enforcer, would come to drag him to the pit, an ancient prison designed to contain the universe's most dangerous and powerful beings. Brutaka, undeterred, pressed his assault with raw power, attempting to draw power from the Piraka's vat of antidermis. Axon saw through his plan and moved quickly. Before Brutaka could reach the vat, Axon unleashed a powerful attack that shattered it completely, destroying the container of antidermis and sending its contents spilling out. As the vat's essence turned into a dark cloud, it released a harrowing, rumbling scream. For this antidermis was not merely a weapon of the Makuta, it was the essence of Makuta Teridax himself. As the antidermis dissipated, it unleashed Makuta Teridax's spirit. Freed from its containment, the malevolent entity hung ominously in the air, a foreboding sign of the chaos yet to come. With the antidermis lost and his strength failing, Brutaka fell to Axon's final blow, collapsing unconscious on the stronghold floor. In a burst of searing light, Botar, the imposing enforcer of the Order of Mata Nui, emerged from the void. Without delay, Botar condemned Brutaka's betrayal. Overwhelmed and defeated, Brutaka was effortlessly restrained by the jailer. As Botar disappeared with Brutaka in tow, Axon made a solemn promise to himself. No matter how insurmountable the task seemed, he would one day rescue his friend from this fate and find a way to restore him to the path of honor. Meanwhile, deep beneath Voya Nui, the Piraka advanced toward the Grand Lava Chamber. Along the way, they ambushed the Toa Inika, engaging in a fierce battle atop a narrow bridge. In the chaos, Kongu unleashed a powerful cyclone, but the unintended result was catastrophic. The Toa Inika were buried beneath the bridge, presumed dead, while the Piraka pressed onward. As the Piraka approached the fabled Chamber of Life, they encountered a twisted and deranged figure, Vezon, the mad half being made from Vezok's essence. Weeks before, the Mask of Life had called out to him, exploiting his fractured mind to transform him into its servant and protector. Driven by its pull, Vezon ventured to the Chamber of Life, where his ambition to seize the mask led to a cruel curse. The mask had fused itself to Vezon's head, ensuring he could never remove it. It further bound him to an enormous spider-like Rahi, Fenrak, as a grotesque steed. The curse granted Vezon strange powers, foresight to glimpse fragments of the future, and the ability to absorb kinetic energy, rendering him a formidable adversary. For weeks, Vezon remained in the Chamber of Life, all while awaiting the inevitable arrival of those who would dare challenge him for the Mask of Life. As the Piraka finally confronted Vezon, the deranged guardian taunted them from atop his grotesque mount. He offered the Piraka a deal. The Mask of Life would be theirs if they would kill Vezok, claiming that such a betrayal would amuse him and satisfy the mask's cryptic will. However, Zaktan, ever perceptive and wary of deception, saw through Vezon's words. The Green Piraka deduced that Vezon had no real control over the Mask of Life. It was bound to him, and its power was not his to relinquish. Realizing his ruse had failed, Vezon shifted his strategy. With the Spear of Fusion in hand, he unleashed its terrible power. Aimed at Vezok and Raidak, the artifact's energies fused the two Piraka into a single, monstrous giant. The other Piraka, caught off guard by the chaos, found themselves overwhelmed by the giant's destructive fury. Freeing themselves from the rubble, the Toa Inika engaged Vezon and Fenrak in an intense battle within the Chamber of Life. Despite their combined efforts, Vezon proved to be a formidable opponent, wielding the Mask of Life's immense power. The Toa managed to push Vezon and Fenrak into the molten lava surrounding the chamber. However, the Mask of Life defended itself once more, mutating Fenrak into the colossal Kardas dragon. As the battle intensified, the Piraka regained consciousness. Watching from the shadows, they bided their time, waiting for an opportunity to seize the Ignika for themselves. Meanwhile, Kongu used his Konohi Soletu to read the Mask of Life's thoughts, discovering its sentience and its desire for Motoro to become its bearer. Kongu projected this revelation into Vezon's mind, driving the mad half-being into a fury and creating an opening. Seizing this moment, Jala fired a Zamasphere imbued with Axon's energy, freezing Vezon and the Kardas dragon in stasis. With the Guardians temporarily incapacitated, Motoro approached the Mask of Life to claim it. However, before he could place it upon his face and save Mata Nui, the Kardas dragon unleashed its fiery breath. Reacting to the commotion, the Mask of Life unleashed a burst of energy, blasting upwards with incredible speed. The Toa Inika and the Piraka immediately gave chase, emerging on the surface of Voya Nui. The Ignika plunged into the depths of the ocean below, vanishing from sight. As the Mask of Life vanished into the ocean's depths, the Toa Inika were left to regroup and reckon with their failure. After all, Mata Nui's life still hung in the balance, and the Mask of Life still eluded them. Little did the Toa know their trials had only just begun. Ancient warlords who had once tried to overthrow Mata Nui lurked below, and with the arrival of the Mask of Life, they too would seek to wield its immense power. If you're watching in the future, click here to jump to the next chapter in the Bionicle story. Or, if you're looking for something different, explore the mysterious origins, gods, and ancient empires of the Star Wars universe by clicking here to dive into the Star Wars Legends timeline. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.